This guy asked for it, so let's do a deep dive into some gear.
Shoot him, Kevin.
Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock and this is a Raid Shadow Legends video. So we're going to talk about some gear today. Let me read this comment for you guys. It was left on one of my videos recently. Could you please do a Slayer set or a Slayer versus Merciless video? It's hard to know which is better when. For example, a Baron and Slayer might be good, question mark. What I'm going to do, this kind of motivated me and gave me inspiration last night. Why don't I take this comment, instead of just doing Slayer or Merciless, why don't I take a deep dive into all of the sets in Raid Shadow Legends and talk about the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, all of it in between, right? I figure it might be a good reference point for players. But what I really wanted to mention is that you guys on my channel at least can totally drive content, right? If there's something you want to see, let me know in the comments. Let me know in my Discord. Discord's probably a little bit better because, you know, I might not see the comment. But yeah, I'm happy to make content that my community is wanting, and I'm also happy to not make content. If you guys are like, hey, I didn't really like this video or whatever, let me know. You know, I'm all for that. But if you like this video, please consider liking the video, actually, like clicking the thumbs up on it, or leaving me a comment and letting me know if you like this or if you want to see me pursue something else, right? I'm very much about that. I want to do what you guys want. I mean, just straight up, right? While we're talking about that, I also just want to say thank you guys. The Phantom Shogun Grove video has really taken off too. That has brought in a ton of subscribers. We're getting even closer to that 5,000 goal very, very quickly, in fact. And yeah, a ton of comments, a ton of likes on that video. It's been awesome. I'm very proud of that video, and I gotta say thank you to you guys. If you're new here, and maybe you haven't quite clicked that subscribe button, please consider doing so. Best way to support my channel. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for that. And one last little thing before I start the video. This video also might not be for you, right? It might be more for newer players that don't have access to these sets yet, or maybe don't really understand how to use them for many, many different reasons. So keep that in mind, that this video might not be targeted towards you per se, but the whole point of this channel is to help people. So I want to make sure that I'm helping players get to know the sets in Raid Shadow Legends better, what's good, what's bad, etc. So today we're going to start with a deep dive into the Slayer set. And because that was the one requested, I think moving forward, some of the sets I might have to do in groupings, you know, maybe like do all of the dragon sets together, because there's not that much to talk about there. But for the Slayer set, I do think there's a lot to talk about, and we're going to jump into it. Stop right there. Click the link in the description right now to get a free legendary Elenaril and 3 free amazing epics as you level up. Here are the exact steps that you need to follow. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Here we go. You'll find Elenaril here, as well as Uugo at level 10, Tagoar at level 20, and Rector Drath at 30. Don't forget to use the promo code Supreme6 to get yourself the awesome Supreme Galek. This is an amazing account start in Raid. So click on my link right now and follow the steps. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Slayer set here. So if we look at the 9-piece bonus here, well, let's just start all the way down, right? 1-piece bonus, a little bit of extra crit rate, 2-piece bonus, crit damage, right? And that crit rate. Set 3-piece bonus, speed, 4-piece bonus, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% per the first hit on each enemy from AoE attacks, okay? Then we have 10% more crit rate. Then we have ignore 30% of enemy defense when using AoE skills, more crit damage, more speed, and lastly, a 30% chance to deal additional AoE damage based on damage dealt by AoE skills. Now, I will also add one quick caveat. I am not the expert in the coding, in the behind the scenes. I know that this set had some difficulties in the past with it, so keep that in mind. I know something wasn't working properly, I think, but I do want to take a deep dive into it and really talk about how I feel about the set, where I would use the set, and ultimately answer the question, like, is it good on Baron? We'll get to all of that. So right out the gate, I think one of the best uses for Slayer on a broad spectrum is to help you get extra crit rate when you need it. I think it is so beneficial to be able to put a ring on a champion that can also give you crit rate. And even better if you can get a ring and an amulet or a ring and a banner and get an extra 15 crit damage, or even a whole triple set at the bottom of crit rate, crit damage, and speed just from your accessories is really, really good. So I just want to point out that I like that value there. But there have been many, many times where I use the Slayer set to complete champions crit rate. Yeah, so you can see new here, right? We're 105. We actually don't need the Slayer, but you can see I do have a 3-piece Slayer here. I get a little bit of speed. I probably at one point needed the crit rate and probably found the crit rate elsewhere on a new piece that replaced it, and just couldn't find a better option for these pieces. But I just want to, like, I do that a lot, more so on my free-to-play, because that account is looking for a lot more gear. But yeah, I like that as a use in general. If you're just trying to fill out a set on somebody, it can come in really, really handy to get you that crit rate that you're looking for. Like, you might be building a champion and you get that 95% crit rate and you're like, oh no, I'm out of slots. Check your accessories. You might have an extra 5% crit rate coming out of that ring to be able to put you over on a champion with the Slayer set. So that is one of my favorite uses for it. Now, why do I feel more particular about getting extra crit rate or crit damage or speed than some of the other abilities on it? Well, it's rare, not completely uncommon, but it is rare to find champions that do damage on all AoEs, right? It's also hard to get a Slayer 9-piece because of the limitations on accessories when you consider, like, so you can see here, just looking at my Shadowkin, I have 4 pieces. Even if I include equipped, I've gotten 6 pieces total over the lifetime of this account, this being my main account. That's not a lot. And some of these pieces aren't necessarily good, right? So you can see this is a defense amulet. Well, I would want crit damage on my amulet. So what purpose does this really serve me for a champion on the account, right? Likewise, you can see, like, I have an HP ring here. This might be good with an HP based nuker maybe that needs some crit rate. Oh, but I don't have HP percentage on the substats. So that might be a piece that isn't really worthwhile. Likewise, I can hit big, like the ring that my ninja's wearing, where it's rolls attack with an attack substat. We did pretty good there, right? And of course, it's bringing that extra crit rate that we might want. And we do also have the crit damage here. So it can be good, but it can also be bad. And because Slayer, it's so much more rare to get than even Stone Skin and Protection, because you can farm that every week. Slayer, you have to wait for a Forge Pass or some other way that they kind of help you get Slayer gear. So it can be difficult to build the 9-piece. Now, do I think the 9-piece is good? Yes, I do. But in certain circumstances. So you can see here, I have my Seer built in 9-piece Slayer because the only true damage that I want out of this Seer is her A3, right? That's it. Her A1, I am not expecting that ever to do any damage. So I don't care if this ignores defense or not. But for Seer, I really, really just want Slayer. I happened to have the accessories on her, and the best thing about it is because she's an enemy max HP based damage dealer, she can use whatever accessories I have. It doesn't matter if it doesn't need to be attack, defense, HP. It can just be anything. As long as I have a crit damage amulet and a crit damage gloves, I'm set, right? That's really all that I'm concerned about, is just getting as much crit damage on her as I can, and then bringing buffs if you understand how Seer works, right? So I think Slayer makes a lot of sense on her, in my opinion. But let's talk about Baron for a second, because that was the one that was in question. So let's review the kit very quickly, very briefly about Baron. We have a single target hitter that will attack remaining enemies with surplus damage. Another single target hitter that places decreased defense. It's guaranteed. Another single target hitter that increases according to the number of buffs on the champion. And then the big money damage dealer, which is Sky Piercer, which has a built-in ignore of 50% defense and also ignores shield and block damage. Now, on the surface level, you might be looking at this and saying, okay, his big hit, the one that everyone cares about, it's an AoE hit. I want Slayer on Baron. Let's talk what numbers you're getting out of the set, okay? So if you're looking to get a 6-piece set on Baron, I would advise you against it. I truly would. 9-piece, there might be a bit of an argument there for it, but I gotta be real with you, even then I wouldn't do it. And that's because I've had Baron. I clearly, you can see he's on my account. I used him as my main nuker for quite a long time. And while, yes, I never put books into these other abilities, you would be surprised how many times his A1 gets me kills by ignoring defense of the champions that I'm doing damage to, right? It actually was a really good ability. The A1 I relied on a lot to finish off some kills if Sky Piercer didn't get the damage done. Now, the argument there is, well, if you have 9-piece, you might do more damage with his really hard-hitting AoE ability, which is true, and the ignoring 30% is really good, but I would also argue unnecessary. So kind of the whole concept with Baron, at least in my eyes, he ignores 50% of defense with Sky Piercer. Then you ignore 25% with whatever gear that you have, whether it's lethal or savage. And then masteries, you get another chance at ignoring 25% of the target's defense. So you get potential with a 50-50 proc of doing true damage, meaning that you completely ignore all defense, and whatever damage you did is the damage that you see on the board. You're kind of overkill at 30%, which sounds silly, like, okay, who cares? You're still doing that, but you're sacrificing a lot on the rest of your abilities, and Baron has more abilities. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. You're going to take 3 to 4 extra turns using other abilities. Now, for me, I think if I remember correctly, I turned these ones off. It's been a minute since I used my Baron. I would get a lot of kills with the A1 in that fashion. But if your A1 is not ignoring defense because it's not an AoE ability, you're going to suffer. And it's going to hurt your Baron, I think, to be in Slayer. Okay? Kind of real quick, and this will be a spoiler, I guess, for the Merciless video. If your question is 9-piece Slayer or 9-piece Merciless, the answer is 9-piece Merciless almost all of the time, in my opinion. I've talked about this recently on this account. I have my Acrisia here in Merciless, admittedly somewhat unnecessary. It's mostly for Chimera, but Merciless gives you 35% ignore defense. So first of all, it gives you more ignore defense, and it applies to all of the abilities that are on that champion. So just better. And then you have a chance of getting an extra turn. So you're mixing in a little bit of Relentless, which was extremely meta just a couple of, I'd say maybe a year ago now, and the chance to reduce cooldowns. Like, this is just a far better set. If you're only looking at like the 6 pieces, right? The 6-piece Merciless versus 6-piece Slayer, and you're looking at the ignore defense mechanics of it, well, I still think Merciless is better because A, you're ignoring more defense. So if you don't get the proc of Helm Smasher, you're still ignoring more defense and therefore doing more damage. So I think there's value there, but also it would apply to any other skills that the champion has. Now, there are some champions who I would say, yeah, Slayer is going to be the best. That's probably going to be champions that have an AoE A1 that is what you're looking to do damage with. The first one that comes to mind, Skullcrown has a very, very, very hard-hitting A1, and I could see an argument for Slayer, especially given that all of the benefits of Merciless don't really apply if all you're using is the A1 on this champion, right? You're just going to want to, and the A2 also is an AoE. So both abilities are AoE, so Slayer brings you value there. You get some more ignore, and you can lower your requirement for crit rate and get more crit damage and more stacks of whatever you need, whatever, in this case, attack. So I've never run a Skull Crown. Any account that I've ever done, I pulled Skull Crown way too late on the account for her to be like super useful for me. And I don't know if she has a damage fall off or not. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but it's still something that maybe there's value there, but I truly don't know. I would say though that Merciless, I think, would have less value on Skull Crown than probably Slayer, in my opinion. Okay. So yeah, Slayer, I think that's a good example of where Slayer is very good. We talked about Seer, right? Seer, that A1 doesn't do anything. I don't care if I lose ignore defense on that, and I gain more ignore defense on her really hard hitting A3. And so, just that's kind of how I analyze it. I think the only other champion where there might be a bit of a debate, and I haven't gotten him yet on either account. I was working towards him for a while. RSL Helper went down. It's back up, by the way, guys. A little, just so you guys know, in case you guys freaked out and thought RSL Helper was gone forever, it was an April Fool's joke. It's back up. You can see it's running right now on this account. So, yay. Thank you, Farbstuff. But I think there is an argument for Marius because every ability is AoE on him. I think I have a clan member who runs Marius in 9-piece Slayer. Would I take that over Merciless? Actually, I probably would, because Merciless might have more value, which is the flip side of being on another champion, right? And so this is something that I struggle with from time to time. Well, I'm not going to do a big deep dive into Merciless, but Merciless gives you attack percent, right? It's going to be more valuable, not useless, as you see it on my Acrisia, but it's going to have more value on an attack-based nuker than a nuker that is defense or HP-based. In those situations, you might have an argument that Slayer could be a little bit more valuable, unless you want like the extra turn or the cooldown reduction part of it, right? So it's kind of depends on what you're looking to do, but I'm hoping that I'm providing you with the information to make an informed decision. Like I said, I do have a clan member who runs him in 9-piece Slayer. They think he's amazing in 9-piece Slayer. He kicks butt in 9-piece Slayer. That, awesome. Merciless, you really wouldn't gain any extra stats. So in one way to look at it is by not putting Merciless and putting Slayer on, for example, you can then build potentially more defense in areas where you would have been putting in crit rate, right? So if you think about it like this, and this literally just came to me. I've never really given this that much thought before, but it kind of just popped into my head as I was talking. So what I'm saying is that you have this crit rate here, right? You're getting 15% crit rate total from this set. Let's just kind of like assume, kind of ignore the rest of it. Obviously it's relevant, but you're getting 15% crit rate. Merciless, you need to make up that 15% crit rate, and that is getting replaced with essentially attack percent that does very little value for a defense enemy max HP based champion. So the point that I'm making is you might be better served in Slayer because you can then take that, what you would have been 15% extra crit damage somewhere, or crit rate rather, right? Let me see if I can find a good, here we go. Right, so I have a piece here. This is a decent piece, right? But I'm picking it because it has crit rate, right? I'm looking to fill in that crit rate. What if that was defense percent stats instead? And you can therefore build a better champion overall in Slayer than you would in Merciless, because you have to find 15 extra percent crit rate. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain. At least I feel like it's not delivering the way that I want it to. But I think that there's value in that, where you can make room for more stats by using that gear instead of using something like Merciless, where you not only have to make up the stats and you're not gaining any benefit. You know, you're completely missing 2 rewards from the Merciless set. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little kind of wonky there, guys. I'm sorry about that. I did my best to explain my thought process there. Yeah, you can see like here, right? I have attack weapon with crit rate, a triple roll crit rate. That's awesome. And crit damage, no attack percent in the substats, right? Which is what you would want to see. So why am I using this piece then? If, you know, because I need crit rate. So I would never put, I'm not saying to put Slayer on Rhodos. I'm saying that if I had 15% extra crit rate to work with, then I have the ability to put on a different piece here that maybe has either lower or no crit rate and a ton of attack, and all of a sudden I'm that much stronger. I'm hitting that much harder at the beginning of the round. So I hope that makes sense. Feel free to tear me down if I made no sense and I rambled on there, but we are going to call that a video. So I hope I have answered your question. I hope I have given you things to think about when it comes to Slayer set in particular. I personally use it, like I say, on a couple of people. You can see I have quite a few pieces that go unused, but for me, I think where I really find value is just supplementing it to get extra stats whenever I need it. So if I was to find like an HP like an HP percent chest here with crit rate, like if this was to roll pretty well, in fact, I kind of like this piece a lot here. Let's see what this rolls. Wow, that sucked. That was the worst. However, that does make for a good candidate for a rework. I will warn that there is a chance that this is no longer going to be a percent main stat. And there it is. Yeah. And it was still attack. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. Well, as you can see, gearing is a little more complicated sometimes than it seems on the surface. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know if this wasn't your cup of tea. I think I answered the exact question, and we talked a lot about Merciless gear here, so maybe this is a one-off instead of a series like I thought it was going to be. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.